Hello and welcome back to the Coffin Lounge. I'm your host, VampireKitten. This is episode 10, and today I am with my special guest, Atropa Belladonna, who is a contortionist, performance artist, professional dominatrix, and recently started a TikTok that aims to help people with depression. How are you? You got a lot going on.
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's cool again, so I'm fantastic.
Yeah, that is definitely a relief. And the TikTok, it's not just for depression, it's for like a bunch of different facets of mental health. Because like I've dealt with a lot of, different things in my life and had to find workarounds, pretty much on my own. And the things that I, discovered, I feel like can help people and have been helping people. So, like, I mean, I've been answering basically everybody's questions. Like, if anybody has a question about something that they're going through, a lot of the time I can relate really well, and I'll just give them advice that I had to give myself at the point in time when I was going through a similar journey as them.
So I guess let's start on your TikTok more than anything else. We'll get to the other stuff later, but so what inspired you to start this? Because this is kind of important.
I saw a need for it. I have two older sisters, but neither of them really took any interest in trying to show me anything about life or anything. I come from a family that is not very big on mental health, and I've been through quite a lot. Like, I've been to some of the darkest places known to man, and I had to basically claw my way up out of hell. And I've gained a lot of knowledge and experience from that I feel like other people could benefit from, because I don't see anybody else talking about the things that I'm talking about, because everybody is so focused on trying to project a perfect life, look like they're living the perfect life on social media, and it's really not good for mental health or the human condition, because everybody feels so pressured to be perfect all the time that it's becoming overwhelming. And I see a lot of people that are struggling really, really badly, and I'm just kind of there to help share what I've learned that helped me through, so that maybe other people don't have to suffer alone. I just want people to know that they're not alone, and, they're not the only person who is going through it as bad as they are, because, it can get really, really, really bad. I've been to some very desolate moments in my life.
Yeah.
And if anybody, I went through basically all of it alone. So if I can prevent other people from having to go through it alone, I want to.
That's awesome. And I love the name of it. It's Your Goth Big Sister. That's very cute. Have you seen oh my gosh, I'm sure you've seen Goth Dad. Is it Goth Dad? Yeah.
Yeah, he's
He's
hilarious.
so awesome. He's very
Mhm.
inspiring. And I love like some of my favorite TikToks. This is, I mean, besides all the thirst traps that I have on my TikTok, some of my favorite ones are like, I'm going to be your grandpa today, or I'm going to be your dad, or I'm going to be your mom today. And they just are so supportive. And I think that people need that, because there's so many people that just don't have that support system, like that family support system. So even just that little bit
Yeah,
is help
that
and
is.
motivation.
Yeah, that's exactly what I seek to create, is because, like, a lot of people really need a supportive, chill older sister, figure in their life that's non-judgmental, there to talk them through their shit, and, has good advice and would never judge you for what you're going through. And that's exactly what I want to be.
So how many are, so is it growing, or do you find that people are following you and finding you, or
Yeah, actually, I've been growing pretty fast. I just started it like a couple weeks ago. And let me look up on my I have almost 1,000 followers. I have 865 followers, and I only started it a couple weeks ago. It is growing pretty fast, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like, I'll gain like about 100 followers a day. So I feel like it's doing very, very well.
that's good.
For how recently I did start it. And
That's
I've been
excellent.
helping a lot of people. Like so far, I have had several people who have said that I've helped them be able to like clean their depression room, get the there was a person who cleaned their entire house and sent me a video and said that I inspired them to do that, and it made me really, really emotional. And I'm so proud of like everybody who is, now taking steps to take care of themselves, take care of themselves better, and a lot of them are crediting that to advice that I gave them, and I'm really, really proud of that.
That's really cool. That's hard. As a person who, I don't often talk about my depression, but I was diagnosed with severe depression a few years back, and I had gone through a very similar journey. And you, even brushing your teeth in the morning, like getting up and actually functioning and doing like brushing your
Yeah.
hair, brushing your teeth, the basics were so hard.
It
So
can
hard.
be incredibly overwhelming. Like, I mean, I had a period of time in my life where for over, I want to say it was over a year, I did not brush my hair because um, I was so depressed. I just felt so awful. I was very isolated. I was very alone. I won't get into the details of how that happened, but I was
Right.
basically for like a year. I was locked in a basement with the only person interacting with me was my ex-boyfriend, who was incredibly emotionally abusive and did not care about my feelings or my emotions at all. Essentially, I could not leave the house. I could not have anybody come visit me in the house. And I was barely even able to go upstairs. So I also struggle a lot with like cleaning because my mom was raised by hoarders. Okay, my grandparents had severe mental issues themselves that led them to have two entire houses that they used as storage units to hoard their stuff, floor to ceiling junk,
Oh
um,
boy.
which after they passed away, we had to clean out. And
That's
while cleaning
rough.
that out, I realized why my mom, was struggling so hard to teach herself to clean. Um, my mom has come a long way because when I was young, she could not necessarily keep a clean house, but now she is. Very proud of her for that. But it took a long time for me as well because when I was young, nobody ever taught me how to clean because, my mom didn't know. Like, I can't even blame her for that. She didn't know. Nobody taught her. So
That's
she
a
couldn't teach me.
Yeah, that's
Um,
generational curses and shit. That's generational shit you have to get over when you have
yeah.
to deal with that stuff. That's
I've
awful.
done a lot of work to be able to keep a clean house like I can as well. And I want to help other people who are in the situation that I was in because it really means a lot to me. Because if somebody would have, given me the advice that I'm giving people when I needed it, then I would have, done a lot better, a lot faster.
For sure. Well, I think what you're doing is awesome. And I also think it is important coming from a Goth Big Sister because there aren't a lot of mental health creators or help in the alt space. And I think that is
Yeah.
really important because, like, I would connect with you if I saw you come on my For You page, instant connection. Like, I would connect with you. Whereas I wouldn't necessarily connect with a person who looks like they have their life together. Not saying you don't, but like, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I-
But like if there's a mom that's got a baby on her hip and she's telling me, hey, don't be depressed, and she looks like she's handling it, I'm just like, that's not for me.
To help other people, you know.
Right.
I want to throw a rope so that other people don't have to lose fingernails on the way up from hell.
Right. And I can see that, and I get that, and I connect with that. So that makes me go, okay, well, maybe this person also has gone through the same struggle that I have, because of, I know it's kind of stereotypical, but because of the way they look. So
right.
I do have mental health advocate friends who are relatively normal individuals, and not to say that I don't connect with them, but I feel like I would connect with someone like you in my space a little bit better, and I think that's really cool because there's not a lot of that, and I think
really
what you're doing is
appreciate
great.
that. Thank you.
That is awesome, and especially the fact that you're just like the Goth Big Sister, that fits. It's very cute. I love it. So that's amazing. Let's talk about how you got from point A to point B, because you started out as a contortionist, correct?
Yes.
So how did that even get started?
Oh
my god, what a cute little monkey.
I suppose it was like I started posting pictures online doing contortions, and then like people started kind of buying pictures, and then like, I mean, once I became an adult I started doing this.
So this was like sideshow, or was this like OnlyFans, or was this like, I'm trying to understand about like how you were selling pictures. Was this like, or who?
Well, when I turned like 19, I was posting pictures, like, and selling them for like OnlyFans and stuff. And that kind of blew up pretty quickly, and immediately started turning into dominatrix work, because that was the most highly requested thing I have gotten since day one.
Right.
Like, I mean, I didn't even mean to become a professional dominatrix. Just, I had so many people coming to me like, hey, would you dominate me? That I just became one. I was like, okay, well, I guess a calling is a calling. And I was really good at it. I still am. So I have a lot of fun with that.
So, okay. So you... Let's break this down a little bit. So the contortionism, did you teach yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
I am fully self-taught.
Wow. That's pretty intense. What do you do with your contortionism now? You said you're a performance artist, so do you do contortion acts at like nightclubs or like strip clubs, or like what do you do all that?
I do contortion acts, like stage contortion acts, with Apocalypse Theater, the band that I mentioned in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And I also will once in a while do suspended contortion, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I will have a rope artist tie me up, and I will get suspended in midair. And then I will dance and contort while I am suspended in the ropes. Like, my arms and legs will be free, but I'll have like slip rope from my knee to my chest harness. And like that will be what I anchor my weight to flip upside down and right side up. And none of my limbs will be like constrained by the ropes. The ropes will be just hanging me up and helping me marionette myself. And so what I do is like I'll like flip upside down and like put the back of my heel to the back of my head. Like it's a really cool looking pose. Let me see if I can even do it in these pants, because like that.
Oh, okay, I see. So you just straight up taught yourself contortionism, then joined a band. So what do you do with the band? Do you
I tools, and I also do contortion. I am learning the violin so that I can do like violin tracks and stuff.
Very cool.
But so far, it is mostly like vocals on some of their songs, and I also like stage contortion for a lot of visual element, which they like.
That's really cool. So then you started doing all this and you got into that, and then you moved to just straight up professional dominatrix.
Mm-hmm.
So how did the dom part of all of this happen? Did somebody just request you one day, or and then you're like, "Oh, this is
People started requesting me like in droves. By the time I was 19, I was getting like 6, 7 inboxes a day from people who just wanted me to whip the shit out of them for money. And I was like, well, all right.
okay. I mean,
I have a passion and you have a passion, and it seems like they are compatible. Let's do this.
kink shame is the opposite of what we do on this show. We kink appreciate. We kink appreciate on this show.
It's like, heck yes, I am so down. This makes me happy. It makes you happy. Everybody wins.
So, how long have you been doing that? And do you still do that?
For 5 years, and I still do, yes.
Cool. Do you do it all online, or do you like actually now go, since it's just your profession? Do you actually like go to a
I
place?
do have in-person clients, yes.
That's awesome. That's cool. So if you, I'm probably gonna ask the hard questions now. If you were to recommend somebody who's like, I want to become a professional dom, how would you recommend they get started doing something like that?
That is really hard for me to answer because, like I said, I didn't mean to become a professional dominatrix. I just had it so commonly requested. Like, people kept, wanting me to do that, it just happened. So I would say, if you actively want to become a professional dominatrix, just be so mean to men that they start paying you for it, because that's what
That's
I
it.
did.
All right. Well, so walk. It's probably gonna get weird. Walk me through what it's like to go to an in-person dominatrix session.
Well, okay, so all of my subs I have an interview with first to vet them. We will
Right.
meet in a public place. Um, we will like have dinner or coffee or something. Obviously, they will pay. They will also bring a cash tribute for my time. They
Damn.
will answer a bunch of questions. I will ask them what their kinks are, what their fantasies are, what their limits are. I will ask them what their safe word is, and if they tell me that they don't have one, I will tell them that they have to use one if they become uncomfortable, and I will tell them to use the word mercy, which is, the common safe word I suggest to all of my subs who say that they haven't thought about or can't decide a safe word for themselves. I'll have them say mercy because it's the name of one of my favorite songs by one of my favorite BDSM fetish goth artists.
Okay.
And
So when when that's all negotiated, what's the next step?
Well, for their first session, they will come to my house. They obviously will first be kneeling when they greet me at the door. And I will take the tribute from them. I will allow them into the house. They will have to walk on their knees. They do not walk on their feet in my house unless it's out of scene or after care time,
Right.
They will be on their knees at all times in my house. I will once in a while direct them to do some cleaning or it's some household chores or whatever. It depend on the sub though, because a lot of them will have different interests and fantasies, which will be the tune of the session. a lot of them really do like to do foot worship. So they will kneel basically right here, and I'll just sit here and have them either rub my feet or lick my feet or whatever the tune is for the day. Often there will be some
Sorry, you cut out. Somewhat?
I like to cage my subs.
Okay.
And some of them like CBT, so I do like some good torture once in a while. I have a lot of fun with that.
So how long does a session typically last for them?
1 hour, maybe 2. And then after it's done, I will do aftercare, and then usually we'll just hang out and have a drink or smoke a little bit, and then they will go home.
Cool. Easy. Easy. I mean, look, you got guys who want to be tortured basically, and they clean your house and you get paid for it. So it's a win-win in my book.
Very happy.
Well, I'm glad that they enjoy that so much. That's kind of a wild profession, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's pretty cool. You know,
I do have a lot of fun with it.
What is your favorite type of thing to do to these guys?
That would have to be either CBT, caging. I really love to put them in chastity cages.
What is CBT
that is one of my favorite things.
The listener? What is CBT for the listeners that don't know what that is?
Cock and ball torture.
Perfect. Love it. Okay, so CBT cages, chastity cages. What else?
Yes, I like to get like extra small chastity cages and make my subs like wear them around, just as a little reminder of who owns them.
Okay.
I'll wear like usually the key on a necklace, or I'll keep it in my pocket or on my key ring. I take a lot of pride in my key ring, like just because I have a thing for keeping, people's keys on it.
Have they ever tried to escape? I mean, I gotta know. Have they ever tried to escape you? Or are they good?
Yes, but that ends in a lot more of punishment.
Well,
you know what I mean?
They shouldn't have been trying to escape.
I pity the fool.
All right. Okay. So when you're not being a professional dominatrix, you do your performance art. Where were you performing before?
I performed at the Westport Bowery most recently with the Variety Society. I have performed at a lot of different venues, but with a lot of different rope artists too. But many of the venues have not allowed recordings because they will be kind of don't kiss and tell adult venues that nobody wants to be photographed at. So a lot of my performances have not made it online, but the Westport Variety Society performance absolutely did. I have that on my Instagram and on my Facebook.
I honestly, though, I really like Don't Kiss and Tell places because it's nice to relax and not feel like there's just fucking phones everywhere.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love that.
It's really nice. What were you doing during quarantine?
Not really much of anything public. Behind the scenes, I was definitely still doing the dominatrix work, but I was not really going online with much of my art and etc. because I was a little bit of a time with my mental health. Once in a while I was summoned for modeling ventures and I did small modeling projects. I promoted for event. I promoted for an event company for a short amount of time, but the event company eventually dissolved because the two owners of it did not get along with each other.
All right. So what if you could, because you mentioned that you were going to be doing you're learning violin. How's that going?
Well, I got this learner violin, and I don't necessarily know if I like learning on it because it is, I didn't know this until I got it, a silent violin.
Okay.
So, when I try to play it, I have to listen with the headphones. I cannot just, play the violin and hear it out loud.
Right.
So I don't know how accurate it is to translating to playing in real life.
Okay.
But I suppose I'll find out when I get a proper violin.
So if you had your choice to do anything in performance art or just your life in general, besides the violin, what would you like to do to like add to your roster of performance, I guess?
I want to make art. I would like to make art for the rest of my life.
That's a goal. That is the dream. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
What kind of art?
I've always loved to draw and paint. I like to draw pictures of elf girls, like, fairies, fantasy creatures, monster girls with big claws and fangs and teeth. And definitely eyeballs. I like to draw eyeballs.
Why eyes?
I just have a fascination. I always have. I don't know.
That's really cool.
Just, yeah.
Did you see that the TikTok eye challenge? Have you done that?
With
where
the lipstick.
Yeah, with the lipstick. So you put lipstick on your lips and then you press your lips against paper and then you make little eyes like in between the lips. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I did that. And actually I intended to keep it, but when I posted it online, one of the people who was following my Facebook asked if they could buy it and made an offer, and so I was like, okay, cool. Well, absolutely, I will ship that to you.
Fuck yeah. You should make some more eyes.
Oh, hell yeah, I definitely will.
Really? Like, that's a good, I mean, if you've already got people going, hey, this is good, I'm gonna buy it, that's awesome. You're already on your way. For sure.
I've always had a passion for art. I really regret not pursuing it for the years that, okay, so when I was like 14 or 15, I had a large portfolio of very realistic, very beautiful art, genuinely amazing art that I was super proud of. I made the mistake of showing it to my friend's mom, and she stole it and sold it for crack money.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. That is
I did not draw for 4 years after that. I let my skills get a little rustier than I would like, and I am still recovering from that.
Do you remember it? Like, if you remember it, what I would do is I would try to recreate it, because that was then, and this is now,
I remember
and this
my
is the new
favorite
you.
5 pieces that were in it.
I think that you should recreate it. I think you should say, fuck them, put them in the past, put them in that box. They don't need to be a part of your life anymore, and to recreate your entire portfolio and make it even better than it was.
Definitely.
I think
that's a plan.
Especially if you want to do, like, be an artist and that's what you want to do. Don't let people fucking get you down. Like, in my last show, we talked about what it was like to be an artist, that basically people would get down on you and be shitty towards you, towards your art, towards your work, whatever. And in reality, we just gotta say, fuck those people and do what makes us happy, you know?
Right.
So, plus, I mean, I feel like that goes hand in hand with your Goth Big Sister thing, because you gotta also take care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mental health.
It's true. A lot of the time, I will catch myself watching my own videos, and I'm like, oh, sometimes I need to take my own damn advice.
I think that any of us that give advice to others, because I have a community, a gaming community of people that come to me for a lot of personal shit, like a lot of personal shit. They've shared their kinks, they've shared their life stories, they've shared their work stories, they've shared so much shit with me. And at the end of the day, I had to put up boundaries with, I mean, plus they're always asking me for gaming shit because it's, you know, a game server. But I had to actually put up boundaries for myself because I was spreading myself too thin with these people and not giving myself enough time. And I love them to death. They are basically my children at this point. And they're like
Right.
family. But I think it's important that you set boundaries for yourself, because if you don't set boundaries for yourself, especially like with your, you know, I mean, I'm sure you probably already know this, but like a lot of people that watch this show, I think that it's important that they also understand it. But setting boundaries for yourself is so fucking important because you deserve your time as well, especially if you are expending it so much to all these other people and they're just taking and taking. At some point, they don't realize how much they are taking from you as a person. And
Right.
like, even with the Dom thing, even with the, you know, Goth Big Sister thing, you got to focus on yourself as well. And sometimes it's harder to take your own advice than anything else. I feel
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
I feel that on a spiritual
But
level too. I do that to myself all the time.
right. But I mean, taking my own advice has gotten me pretty far, so I'm excited to see where else it can take me.
So, what kind of people contact you for your advice, your mental health advice? Like, what have people asked you that was like really important to you?
Um, One of the questions that I have gotten today is about rejection sensitive dysphoria, which
Okay.
a lot of people agreed that that question was pretty important. I am planning on making like an at-length video about it because it's something that a lot of people struggle with is like, you know, fear of being rejected and the expectation of being rejected and how people carry that with them, you know, and they'll assume that they won't be liked or accepted by, you know, people, and then they won't even try to reach out to them or to try and connect with them because they're so afraid that they'll fail. And that's something that I'm really really excited to talk about on my channel because I really hope that I can make at least a little bit of a difference for some of these people.
Right. And I mean, obviously, it seems like you have, but you had to deal with any harder things? Like, has anybody contacted you for, they're like, I think I'm gonna unalive myself? And like, how would you handle something like that?
Nobody has said that they think that they're at that point on my channel like so far. I would probably reach out to them personally in a private message and let them know that I am here for them, and if they would like to just like reach out to me privately without having to make it something that they feel is seen by too many people, that I would, you know, create that safe space for them and try and talk through whatever they're going through with them and see if I can maybe provide them a little bit of hope. And because I have been there multiple times myself, I have definitely tried it um, more than a few times. And I definitely know what got me out of that mindset, and I would like to maybe provide some comfort or help if I can.
I'd also like to take a second and remind my listeners that the suicide hotline is always available. It is 24 hours a day. It's 988, which is the suicide and crisis lifeline. So if you or a friend or a family member is thinking about doing something that they probably can be talked down or can not do, we don't want them to do it. 988 is that number. Just gotta tell everybody, you know? Everybody's gotta know. Especially like now, more than ever, mental health has been really difficult in this country alone. Just on this planet. Like, you've got to think about all of the once-in-a-lifetime crazy bullshit we've gone through in the last 10 years. Like, it's nuts out there. And
absolutely,
we as a country do not take enough care or enough interest in mental health issues than we should. There would be a lot less people in a lot less hospitals if we actually gave a shit about mental health in this country.
Yeah, it is absolutely necessary to, you know, care about other people's mental health, because there are way too many people who are just apathetic to it and they don't give a fuck about other people or what other people are going through. Right. And it is so detrimental to the human condition. It makes, you know, it makes more pain, it makes more resentment, it just makes everything worse. Putting that out into the world is only going to spread it around, because too many people don't know how to heal their wounds. They don't know how to transmute that negative energy that was pushed onto them into something positive. Right. And so they're going to keep, you know, pushing that negative energy onto other, you know, people, other smaller beings, more impressionable things. And it's just going to continue the cycle. I want to break that.
Break generational boundaries and break generational curses, because moving forward
with your Goth Big Sister is to transmute my pain into something that leaves a positive impact on the world.
That's awesome. I freaking love that. You are doing some amazing work. I will make sure also in the descriptions for both of these that we get all of our crisis lifelines, and we will make sure that people find you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You are doing some really awesome stuff, and I think it is important. Mental health is such a hard topic to talk about. I think a lot of people don't want
but it's
to
really,
talk about
really
it.
important to talk about it too.
Definitely. And I work with a lot of men who I have a lot of guy friends. Like, this is also something I'd like to touch on, because it's something that I don't think people understand. Men struggle with mental health on a different level because they are not allowed to struggle with mental health.
And a lot of them feel very isolated, like they can't reach out or they have no one to talk to. I want to change that too, you know? Like, I mean, anybody who needs help or needs advice can come to my page. It's not like just a for the girls channel. I was planning on making it mostly for girls originally, but like with my first video, I noticed that I was helping a lot of men as well, and that changed the whole direction of my channel from the jump.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know it's kind of like a sidebar. I don't, you know, I think it's important because women tend to talk about their mental health a lot more. And they, or even just people that are a little bit more open, like people who are in the kink scene, people who are trans, people who are transitioning still, people who don't feel like they're outsiders, generally don't feel like they belong. I feel like they talk about their mental health a little bit easier than, say, the mom with the baby on her hip, you know what I mean? Or even the dad who's been working the 9 to 5, comes home, has a beer, but you know he's struggling. So like, people don't get that there is a side of things where that's hidden. They aren't allowed to talk about that stuff, you know? Or if you talk about your mental health in any sort of religious capacity, that's also detrimental to those people. So I think it's important that it becomes more widely talked about, and I think that the hurdle is getting people to understand that mental health is actually becoming a crisis in our country. So
it is. There's been a huge mental health crisis for a lot of years. I feel like a lot of people don't have access to therapy. I know I don't have, you know, access to therapy. I don't have like insurance, and I want to help other people through it because a lot of people would not be able to reach the same conclusions that I've reached, and they would give up, and a lot of people do give up, and a lot of people take their own lives. I almost did myself.
My experience with therapy is that it's not for everyone. I forwent, is that the right word? Therapy. And I went directly to a psychiatrist. I did not even, do not pass go, do not collect $200. I didn't even give a fuck because therapy, it's not something that I thought would help me. And when I got to the psychiatrist, he was like, yeah, I don't think therapy's going to help you at this point. Which, when a psychiatrist reaffirms in my brain what I was thinking, then okay, I'm like, all right, maybe I'm on the right path. And then I learned a lot about my case is a little different. I learned a lot about mindfulness. And mindfulness is super, I think I touched about this on episode 1. Mindfulness is super important. I think people need to take time for themselves. And I definitely, now that I've said that out loud, I definitely need to practice what I preach, because my partner's going to be like, you already know this shit, you should do it. But
yeah, that is definitely something I am planning on talking about on my channel as well, and something I need to take into account more in my own life as well.
Mindfulness, it helped me, but I was also on antidepressants for a little while, and that I feel like helped me get over that hurdle. Thankfully, I'm not on antidepressants anymore, and life has been pretty rad lately. But I still have my moments where I need to go, I don't feel well today. Today, I am not brushing my teeth. Today, I am not brushing my hair. Today, I have not fed myself anything but saltine crackers. I'm proud of myself for eating saltine crackers, but it's not food, you know? Like, and once I get to that point, I'm just like, all right, I need to stop. I need to pay attention to what the fuck I'm doing. And I need to go, okay, what is bothering me? How do I resolve this? Once you gain those tools of figuring out how to resolve that, even if you're not on medication, while I understand medication is necessary for a lot of people, and I'm not doubting that or anything, if you are not on medication and you have the tools available, it's a little easier to manage something like depression or, you know, anything, anxiety, whatever. So
yeah. Metacognition is actually one of the most powerful tools in mental health,
right,
and psychiatry as a whole.
And I think that it's important that people take a moment and realize, hey, why am I struggling right now? It's like the same as like, hey, am I being an asshole? I should probably drink water. You know,
right.
You know, it's the same thought capacity of like, hey, I'm kind of not doing well. I haven't taken care of myself in 2 days. And once you realize that, you can take the necessary steps. That's the
ability to think about, really assess your own behavior, figure out why you're doing that, and how you can make things easier on yourself so that you are able to take the actions that you want to take to benefit yourself. You know, these are really important steps, and thinking about why you're doing what you're doing is the first step to that.
Also, therapy and going to a psychiatrist does not make you weak at all. It makes you stronger because you have come to the real self-realization that you need help. And the hardest part about anything, mental health, addiction, whatever, is realizing that you need help so you can take that necessary action in order to thrive.
Not having access to therapy or psychiatry, like treatment professional, it doesn't mean that you don't deserve it. It doesn't mean that you are bad, okay? You deserve to feel better. You deserve to, you know, have... And it is not fair that you do not have access to the things that could make you better, but I am here for you.
And I think it's just important, even if it's not you, I think it's important that they lean on people, or also people, here's the other thing, selfishness is terrible. There are people, I mean, sure, some people get past, like with addiction, they get past the point of no return where you're just like exhausted from helping them. And you feel like you can't help them. And it's the same with like mental health struggles. Sometimes you feel like you can't help these people and they do need to go get help, like professional help. But like, if it gets to that point, there are always decisions that you can make as a friend or family member to these people to get them help. And it's not so completely out of reach. Like, you can check yourself in somewhere, and I don't think it costs you anything, does it? If you check yourself into like a facility or something, if you feel like you're a danger to yourself or others, I think you can actually just check yourself in and they'll hold you at an institution or something.
I have always kind of shied away from that option because I was afraid of getting hit with a super large bill. So
I don't
even
think that
when I genuinely thought that I was a danger to myself, I didn't bother going to seek treatment for it. For a long time, I didn't think that I deserved treatment.
You just mentioned that you didn't want to get hit with a large bill. That is a fear of almost, I want to say, every millennial that I've ever met. That is literally a fucking fear. I went in one time.
Part of like why I never sought help or treatment was, the financial instability aspect of it. Like, I genuinely cannot afford a hospital stay.
That's everybody, though. Most people have no insurance in this country. See, this is an even larger issue. This is an issue that I constantly bitch and moan and complain about. People don't have insurance. And even if they did have insurance, you still have a copay. And it's fucking expensive. Everyone in our country, a lot of people, unless you're fucking 1%, we're all living paycheck to paycheck, especially with inflation, especially with this recession that everybody keeps saying is happening or not happening. I don't fucking know anymore. I don't like to get into political stuff on my show. I typically don't, but this is like an issue in our country that
it genuinely is.
It needs to be resolved. Like the Medicare, like the Medicaid, whatever, all this shit. Hospitals should not at all be a business. They need to be. You have a human right to be fucking healed. I'm sorry. You have a human right to live on this planet. You are a human. You are a person. You should be allowed to live and get treatment if you have a fucking appendicitis and it's not going to cost you $1 million. That is something that cannot be avoided. You know what I mean?
But the unfortunate reality is that this is late stage capitalism. The oligarchs have realized that if they give us no choice but to pay or die, they can jack up the prices on healthcare and survival as high as they want. And if we don't pay, our only choice is to die.
Other countries, some of them have it right? You've got, what is it? Sweden has one of the best systems in the entire world as far as like their healthcare. They just take care of people, don't they? I'm pretty sure they just fucking take care of people. You've got Canada, which is really great. I do have some Canadian friends though. They said they're not without their flaws. They love their free healthcare, but it takes like a fucking year and a half to even get an appointment. So if it's like urgent or whatever, I don't know how that works, but still it's a better system than what we currently have. I know that the VA kind of functions similarly. I think something's got to give at some point, and people are only getting more and more pissed off. I know I'm going to wrap this up, but because I could just go on about our healthcare system all day, and it's fucking trash.
It is a huge problem. I could go on about the healthcare system all day as well, believe me. I've had my qualms with it for some time now.
Let me just give you an example. 10 years ago, I was so sick that I hairline fractured my rib coughing, which is fucking entirely possible, and I had no idea that was a thing that was possible. I went into the urgent care, like the emergency room, because I was in so much pain. I thought I was dying. Like, it was horrible. And all they did was they kept me there on a morphine drip for an hour, and they sent me home with Percocet, and they sent me home with Oxycontin, and they sent me home with ibuprofen. First of all, those are fucking opioids that you can get addicted to. And that was my first experience with getting any sort of prescription opioid, like, in my life. And I could, as I was taking these things at home, I was alone. At home, I could feel that I craved more of that shit. And I took like 2 of them. 2 of them. So prescription drugs are fucking horrible, first of all. Second of all, and like, I have experiences where my family, some people in my family were addicted to prescription pills. And doctors just fucking throw pills at everything. But to make matters worse, it wasn't the pills that cost anything. It was the fucking hospital visit. Ended up costing me $3,000 fucking dollars. $3,000 for being there for like a couple of hours. And that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago. And I had insurance. I had fucking insurance. What?
That is just shameful. The American healthcare system is for profit, not for people, and that is the problem.
It's ridiculous.
Somebody is going to get mad enough
to start something.
Like, you know.
Especially with our mental health in the shitter. So, yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. Anyway, before we get too crazy off topic, and, well, I guess it's not really off topic, but before we get too passionate about our terrible healthcare system, we should probably wrap this up.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And thank you for answering some I feel like pretty personal questions about some things. But where can people find you?
On TikTok at your Goth Big Sister. On most other platforms as Graveyard Nymph or the Skeleton Bitch.
Cute.
On Facebook as Atropa Belladonna. My Instagram has no vowels in it but the Y in nymph, so it's GRVYRD nymph.
Okay.
As well as my Twitter is spelled the same way, so.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate you. This is our 10th episode, and if you are listening at home, from the bottom of my heart, everyone that has subscribed, liked, followed, and just been a part of commenting and sharing the show so far, I appreciate you. We have pretty much done like a half a season of podcasts now. So if you could subscribe, like, follow on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify, I would appreciate it. Moving forward, I have so much more to share with you, and we have so many more amazing guests coming up. Thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.